Oh, wow, 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 wow. I'm so excited. X-Men animated series. Season 2 is rocking, man. I know PKL Entertainment talks about season 2 a lot. Oh, man. I love Omega Red. I think Omega Red is possibly one of the most underrated of the X-Men villains, and the animation of this episode is so good. This is one of the best episodes to date. I know there are others that are coming, but there's so many great things I could say about this. I'm in season 2. It's episode 4. It's called Red Dawn. It's basically the introduction of Omega Red. And again, they just do everything right in this episode. I want to get to it. Opens with Xavier and Magneto. If you remember the end of the last episode, they go over a waterfall and end up in the Savage Land. Let's come back to that, table that in a minute, because it's just one little clip, and then we move into the story with the X-Men. And here we start off with basically like mutant hate. We still have that issue where Jubilee's in town defending the store against these, this gang of mutant haters, basically. And she almost gets herself in a lot of trouble. And then Colossus just randomly shows up, by the way. So it's really the most contrived element of this episode. But he explains how he is going to go to the X-Men mansion looking for help, because what we just see is when we first set all this up is in the former Soviet Union in Russia, there's tanks that are attacking different areas, and they hit a lab. And during that attack, the lab, it opens up and breaks the technology, because they had Omega Red there, and like he was cryogenically frozen. So now he's out. And they talk about, the Soviets were talking about, oh, it's the first step of us taking back Mother Russia. It's my horrible Russian accent, I guess. I don't know. It just came out. I have no idea why. This art, the animation of Omega Red is so good. It is so well detailed, super good. I think that this is the way they handled Omega Red was great, right? So if you're a fan of the 1991 X-Men, this episode should really rock to you, because Omega Red was created. First appearance is issue number 4, goes into 5. Super good. Sorry. Well, anyway, most of the X-Men are away in Washington. Jubilee decides to go with him, and there's really kind of a little funny note. I got to be honest, the humor doesn't usually work when it's coming from Jubilee. Most people don't like Jubilee. We've talked about that several times, several other videos. Like, she's sort of like the fill-in character for the audience to kind of keep us abreast of having things explained to us as the audience, especially for kids. But she writes this silly note, food in the fridge. That's how it ends. It's kind of funny. Anyway, he tries to fly. She's not a really good pilot, nearly crashes, all that kind of stuff. So it gets played for gags and stuff like that. So there's a little bit of levity before we jump right into Russia's burning. The town is a mess. People are missing. There's tanks still. Omega Red just attacks the leaders. So while the Russians think they can control Omega Red, he's evil for the sake of evil. He is in charge. He's menacing. He's intimidating. It's all very, very good. And by the time Jubilee and Colossus arrive, his family farm is in ruin. He reflects on the mutant hate that he experienced and his sister, Ileana. But unfortunately, Ileana is there, right? And sure, the X-Men find the note. Wolverine is the one that gets it and realizes Omega Red's name. He flies off in pursuit. And what you end up having is just great action sequences with Jubilee and Colossus versus Omega Red. Wolverine getting there in time. He's attacking Omega Red. Colossus trying to drop a tank on Omega Red. I mean, it's crazy. So at least the people get saved, and Colossus kind of pulls Wolverine out. So carries him out. And again, the humor is like very like little things, which are very kind of silly for kids, but also not bad. Like, it's like him carrying Wolverine and having this sort of like this good natured element of Colossus says it's good manners. It's kind of funny. But we see Omega Red just completely fuming and angry as they are trying to regroup. And Wolverine, man, it's so good. He's talking about them being created by the Soviets and how today they got lucky. And Colossus is like, well, we'll get lucky again. But Wolverine is very, very pragmatic in the show. Like, he's headstrong. He's an animalistic. He goes into berserker mode, sure. But he's also very smart and very humble at times. Like, he knows how dangerous Omega Red is. And it takes the other team arriving. They found the note. right? So Storm brings Gambit and Rogue, and Wolverine just kind of gives a rallying speech. Listen, here's what we're gonna do. And then out of the blue, and she's briefly in a shot earlier in the episode. Her name is Dark Star, and she's basically a Russian mutant as well. And she's kind of flipping sides. She's like, listen, Omega Red's out of control. We're not going to be able to control Omega Red. You're going to have to use your powers. I'm going to help you. The Soviets are trying to attack. Dark Star is there helping them win using her powers, right? So she's showing, it's not just her words. She's showing that she's on their side. And she says, listen, Omega Red has to be stopped. Now, when they confront Omega Red, he's taken on Gambit. He's taken on Jubilee. He's taking on Rogue. I mean, he's able to handle them all. He's able to do all of this stuff, right? And he's using his tentacles. He's doing his thing. Wolverine gets him from behind at one point and throws Wolverine. Colossus attacks. Nothing is working, right? Nothing is working. Omega Red is this is so well done. And then we have Dark Star explaining to Storm, listen, you can have all these weather powers. Can you do snow and ice? Can we freeze him? Can we put him back in under ice? Like ice appears to work. So it does work. And it leaves the door open for him to come back. I wish he was used more often. I do like it. And Colossus is, of course, the center at the end. It closes because he's there helping with the farm, being the good-natured guy that he is. And they're like, listen, you want to be an X-Men? He's like, no, I'm good. Super fast-paced, great animation, great details. It's all fantastic. Now, let me go all the way back around to the Magneto Xavier storyline. So the last episode, we ended with it almost like a credit scene. And then here we begin with it, and then we never go back with it. So it's kind of weird how they did them and reverse the order. So Xavier and Magneto, we're in this remote area, avalanche, go into the water, over the waterfall, land in the Savage Land, have no powers whatsoever. They have this back and forth, and this is what I thought was really this elevated the episode because it wasn't just about Omega Red, the animation, the action, all the stuff I've talked about, how much I loved all that. But this little backstory, which is how they start the episode. Magneto is like, I don't understand why you even do this, Charles. Like, why do you do this? Why are you, you saved me. And Xavier says, I don't yearn for an easy life, but a just one. And I thought about, man, what a powerful lesson for kids that we are not teaching kids. Like, we're not teaching kids that life may be hard, but if you're being honest and just, it will give you the value and the joy and the happiness that you need, bringing value into your life. You will bear good fruit into the world when you lead a just life, not an easy life. So the battle there, which is about taking on a T-Rex because they're in Savage Land, and Magneto is showing his smarts. Like Magneto, sometimes he's so powerful that here he doesn't have his power. So what's he going to do? Well, he's talking to Xavier about how to bait him. And basically he says, I'm not dying easily. And they trick the T-Rex to staying close to where the geyser is. So when the geyser goes off, the volcanic geyser burns the creature. Whatever you see it collapse. So just one of the best episodes to date. I don't know of anything that was really badly done. I mean, I guess we could kind of maybe point out like Colossus showing up at the exact moment was a little too contrived, and Jubilee is a little silly-ish, but it's really not that bad. It's a really solid, a fantastic episode. I don't know if you guys are fans of Omega Red. Am I just totally nerding out on you because I love the comic book Omega Red? I think the 1991 Wolverine, when it elevated everything, right? 8 million copies or so were sold, and that kind of helped pave the way for them to justify doing this series. And to know that issues 4 or 5 had come out. This is a new character, and then we're in season 2, so we're probably about 2 years away from the character being introduced, or a year and a half to 2 years. And they wanted to include Omega Red. I thought this is really, really a cool indication of how the studio was approaching things. Like they really were like trying to wrap their arms around this X-Men movement, the cartoon, the action figures, everything about it. And like I said, this is later on, like at 9:30 Eastern time. I do talk about Batman animated series. With Batman, it's usually about expanding or developing the universe that already exists in a different way. Like it's new content, it's new material. Whereas X-Men, it's more like it's kind of a lot of stuff that points back to the comic book, the original source material, rather than like inventing the wheel or creating something new. So anyway, that's my take on it. Hopefully you're enjoying Saturday morning cartoons. I'm loving doing this with you guys. What a great episode. You guys tell me what you guys think. Have you watched animated X-Men in a while? Does this make you think about it? I don't know. I don't. I'm hearing some of you guys say that, which I love hearing. So anyway, I'm Pops. Thanks so much for watching and being with me.
Yeah. Right?